So, Pacho Bibia Boko.
Bibia, ye. Why?
Afrafranto for ye.
Afrafranto Ubia, ye.
I see.
Nkumane, I Penufu woman.
The campaign is saying.
Campaign de go yipa.
You surprised me in the Volta region.
Na, near Volta region, the man who say, Bebia Makubia. The Ripadona can say, Yamianim NDC, ne MPP, for them is not an option. And you bring a crowd on Montuaba. And genuinely, what we say, the majority of Ghanaians are looking for an alternative. Now, there are no more can say, Alan Mumuna say, Obepa dear, and then get area Yapeno. Nemo, I and Tenenka, and a bit propaganda, Obebo, Umbo, and when you had a confusion, so
just clear this for me, but they're cleared because what I'm hearing is that Alanoma, within my paper national, where we are their content. Yes, it's an opportunity where the one or their show custom cry. So give that clarification for me.
Number one, movement for change. I'm a TN. I'm the presidential candidate for the December elections. Opie niwa obetimi eyime free. Meka ene nobody. So we may free on what grounds?
You are just preparing the grounds for.
Oh, it's not even possible. Ekroma so obetimi aka say obey me free ballot papers. Hey, all right. I go ya che wo kakro. Now how is it even going to happen? Ekroma say Alan manya ayi manim say me contest me mati me movement na the who crampo ni say within a period of months me mobilize 10 other political entities into an alliance. Ebi kura see that Ghana say the history of alliances enya kura if you omukoshia they go with the intention say omukoya alliance so mudrupe na ntokwa esim na ntokwa na esim no Anefri who is going to lead the alliance with the right from the beginning. This is the first time Ibia 10 different political entities on Maba. Now within one meeting, no matter what I say, Alan and the DNM Congress Assembly
so no Caribbean him say and you all prepare grounds for any major political party.
Now the
kind of politics we do.
No,
forgive
the kind
me,
of politics
forgive me because
forgive me because from so the uncle for kind of walk said the metimi asumo man mache me ye me no man na me be ye adwuma akoboa obi. How is that possible? Say I say I'm a titi obi say ala ade na I just say o pese o e kimika keke and then meka December dey people will get a shock. Now yes ebia betiana
o kan keke
people will get a shock. If you say there is a bar na make catch us say who dey go round objectively may you ready na go round 80% of the people of Ghana our imagine say a kind this in MPP kwadia and here to aba
80%.
Now we see nipa wo MPP mu omo ye registered members ene dey wonim say MPP for omo do even 1 million. Almost even 1 million. And this is, I'm sure, is around the same number.
So we cannot pride to say the constant 4 million. 4 million
no coffee. Tio.
Did be a come? Yes, you. We are there. We
Mumbudi. Kaisa a founding member of MPP. Now, womu enya more than 1 million registered voters. Registered members of the party.
What is registered?
Now registered the TBA no. Which will say any you can count on them. Now on the entire for your side mistake, he said, you say MPP were 40%, and this was Uncle for 40%.
4 no,
Uncle Fan Wahi. And I'm making, would they say, the young compile 2024 registered, and the debate may use, 2020 electoral register near can. Now, Nipa registered voters is 17 million. My hand, they make sure I want to say, MPP registered members are. They can count on 1 million.
Oh.
The same thing with NDC. Now, what normally happens is they are sympathizers. They have no deep commitment
to the parties.
To the parties, no.
It is
a kobase yekotuabana. Omusha. NDC near PPP. You have no choice. And either say Ubaka Cemento and as over to the now casino NDC say now to say that what woman. And between 6.5 million the MPP Benya and NDC Benya 6 million. Any 1 million woman a year on registered 5 million now a Dasumo and people will get a shock. Well, I find that the on the major. And Tina said, "One says here, with the men you ready, call incognito, Nippon Casa, including MPP for Casa, including NDC for Dudrona, Oma Majesty, I need to cry into her. Now, maybe how many say, Bakwa say, democracy in Ghana, I could do a brave year. Nipa tumekasa ni amento aba ekwa omukọ ajoso
by election
who they see o say time be by election they are na turn out today but in time kasa we dey fanyi nyina to nche just do a sample round na ebisa 70 to 80% of people my say and they no kra wan hwe ento aba na the time kasa be shock nkofo say this time there's a viable alternative.
Just an alternative.
It is a viable alternative. The time can say, there are no more kind of say. MPP and this is the Abromo. 32 years, our more bemo. Say, come to me as a son, my uncle, Master Sadada. Or Mommy in your 1616. After 8 years, especially a second term, not a Diaco IMF. Near Diaco doing some. Nice say, we are dear. At the end, na ahunchiraba. I don't think 2016 to get see NDC because the NDC so my infrastructure near the finally yekotuaba no nipa show massitremwa how they were going to vote for NDC to continue because circumstances na omuwomu no dey na womu ko gina so akase. This is exactly what happened. Mr. Ghana politicians say, and yet Nipa who projects are we any years of the trouble. And I'm interchange. And I'm see hospitals like no, that's a sign of me. You can easily predict. And yet the circumstances surrounding the economy and we are affecting our more personal life. Into your do say free say so say idea be you. Enti eno ana emano akoba say ye kwaye no ubisa even people who were known to be sympathizers of MPP cry amududo na ayo madwin say ani no cry ento aba na the difference don't say no omanya a viable alternative enti ufa 1 million emepo dem say omanya yemfa 2 million ento to omoso yemfa 2 million into 2 almost. Now NPP 3 million. Which they don't have. NDC 3 million. And look at saying just 6 million.
Nipan be
Nipan be 2020. Yeah. Now say 17 million. What check NPP 3 million.
Wait 3 million.
3 million.
Bebre akawa chiro.
Bebre akawa 17 minus
11 akawa.
11 aka. Now ni baby idea ni free. Sa 11 million dientia dodo na ka chi ni say 9.7 million registered voters in 2020 election making. They were between the ages of 18 and 35. What you say? 9.7 million. I found one more calculation. One say 11 million na catching na young Mudiano. 11 million na catching na young Mudiano. 9.7 million out of that,
age bracket
18 to 35. Now, so what case would you know what I say? Identity is 18 to 35 there. Where NDC or MPP and you must say, who crowd about in a TV. So we say we are MPP founding member. We need to make a choice. MPP for you would the EKOSIISEN. NDC so and you must say. They are the ones who determine the vote. And to women who say, "Quite say, are they say a Bruce near Kotoaba?" Na say a copper say a NDC near MPP there, and a nice woman choice. So they see 2020, your new choice. And tonight so much mu, then no much more will be at me winner. Now say, see, one by one margin say, forget about NDC, forget about MPP there. Nature say, the more kind say Alan Bebankuan there. The majority of 9.7 million, 18 to 35 for they'll give their votes to Alan.
I see.
So be general analysis. So Alan, one on cry there, or Koso say MPP vote
or proper
me person me quite kingmakers me the fatter men say
papa me proper
me mfata wo hene ya se media me abusu apenya kingmaker me na me kwa bobi ma
okay, so I'm go through our problem quickly enough. You remember the great transformation in Empire, the great transformational plan. But a problem from you precope. And because me who Volta region, none of the creative man tell me who and other areas in so. So what has been the message? It's not even about but what has been your message?
The message is very simple. Number one component of the message is after 32 years in government between the NDC and MPP. NDC then cried the PNDC then Kahua. After 32 years, still Utmus and Nippon Hochero. And now quite say the majority of Ghanaians, women and the Sobia say going forward, they say Kotuma NDC and now MPP. Be changing. They are looking for a change. That's number one. Number two, so they are looking for a government. Ebema Ghana Yakabum. So Utia, Ghana is a divided country.
Sharply divided.
Not
just divided.
Between NDC and MPP. Asema enyen tokakra na danen toka. Now a divided army cannot stand. So Utia no ma ekosuna. Bipia ni ya politicizing. Na se nipa mienu ko wan na se wuja mo so mbeko akopin se
bibia besese
you need a neutral person not just of a pattern to kwano wotra enya mu enti na ye pese Ghana kodanim enti the message of a government of national unity, bringing all Ghanaians together under the umbrella of a government of national unity. And only the second most powerful message between say at all Makumaso. Now you can't government of national unity, sir. It means to say, so we NDC and now MPP and now CPP. Now put my Yajuman Kwada and I know by Yajuma. Say unye party ni na say uwonim dieno ana kwanya obetumi afaso aboa omana ana no be adwuma enti say no ohwa na che say political party representatives ebewom traditional authorities ewom religious leaders ewom womo media ewom farmers ewom business ewom. That is the inclusive, all inclusive government. Me who say me preaching at all for Akumaso. Affairs so number 3. One will say between NDC and MPP, no, there's what we call winner takes all. So I say, so echo no more winning power pay. Now you say, so when your MPP near, say MPP na ebe winner, when your MPP near. Now say for the next 4 years in a day. Now say, winner
takes all.
Now say also train the next 4 years. So would you also be back? Now, there also be ono say, and also lack of continuity in government projects. So MPP start TBB. Now say, Omunia Bemu Biwa. The next government say NDC Pape. Now say Romia I say discontinue.
Said I think personally, you should show more with Sumaba Ghana. One of the challenges are which I think you need to take this opportunity so the Bebuami.
Yeah.
Because say Obahano. Yeah. A lot of questions are questions are it's just not a but there maybe it's a year of interest here. Now era a chief ally and you know and you boy we so am kai what can we na wajama a sugar factory is yours under the watch when Timanya Oshi on the opposite your tuna swaba. So that sugar factory conversation. What is it?
And no crowd put it say I am the crash who appear. If you say we share the sugar factory to buy and this time and I buy sugar factory and Kuma brain or shares. You two Kuma sono Anna a year basa. During one of the military regimes, now Omo try say Omo by state view, and also so Uncle Si baby, and this is for buy. Anna Omo say Omakoji loan $35 million. Say yeah, they will revive Komenda sugar factory. $35 million.
That's the Indian facility then.
Indian facility. Omokoji no. Anna Omo edi competitive bidding. As I say, pay investor. Omo nya bia India company be NBC factory no. Omo si wie na ye wo October 2016. Na say factory no kra ye hihye yin na wie. Na ka some of the components are na nke so mo hihye. Ana NDC say ombe commission project. Enti omo commission project na ankasa no. Na enu kra no enye ready to produce sugar, crystal sugar. Just I say intermediate process. Ana normal ya kokodu na ka equipment dey be so modeba. Enu na omo say sadia ombe so moti omo safri hu na fei omo de ma private investor. And can you anka problem bi any ho. Say omo say aban na ede akwaje bosia. Na mo say dey ombe so de ma private investor. Na Woma tender and obi we ne ye ana fofi antoa ata ekoba say omulusu election enti ye ba ya me appoint me the first na me ye me ka say Debbie say empenia pa omukoje ebusia ana omu edi reconstruction of the factory there me there yes ana me politics yes me MPP ni ma banti I say discontinue. Debbie say idea and we should continue. And it was one of the first projects at Metakle. I went back to Nipa or Wene Satendano. Join NDC. Nakazora. On paper, may paper and betuye. Yes, it wona wa Wene attend. And he made the answer at the end because for Juma not to us no. I say, Minister, Sika, womono ekasi emfanye tender, me nya madri se betria sa sika no. If he say amount of money government no more demanding, factory no value no, one want to be tria sa sika no. O ma hiti o, inti nature say ono no offer $15 million for the factory $35 million yakoje busia se yede ba be. I'm going say ora na sa na tie dia ade na ukọ animu anyway the long and short of it on say on you interested what we be that will be why lucky abaya sisa why we need contract na minister for fraba no say menje wadwuma wo de koso the factory no an say why we need
interested
koso was on interested bio hey TV say our Ghana da no say and then there must be a problem with this Argentina why we need contract we are lucky when your minister was it to wadwuma so we see daddy akwa menye interested bio na fact no value no cry de me ka say metri am de when intender no me ntwa sika no
wow
enti yes am say okay me pay independent technical team including to me sheda kofa even Institute of Engineers because me pay transparent and accountable exercise say nipa no say afedi on pay bi won't me ntwa sika no enti me kofa omo na me say mo de mo koye an objective assessment omo de ba he omo say dabi factory foforo ya commissioner ya pe obi amu ato no omo ba omo say adian value no kra endu $12 million
chief
oh so say ensam no 94 there matna wa ka say and na alote Jacobs mo tete ayi radio so kika na me tum wase so na so nyame na
$12 million
assessment by in spite of the fact say omo independent cause we so there omo they have nothing to gain or lose na media omo an independent professional association and me dem still na me see there Ghana politics there me sang ma omo a Price Waterhouse ana yedi adwuma no ma omo NDC time no omo ye tender na omo ko select side
mo amomra na mo sabe
di na me ka che mo say Price Waterhouse ade de me buy ma beto nipa wo win contract o me fa na adwuma anye o si da bi de na omo NDC time no omo hwehwe no wontumi twa sika no because in do serve value na me say sade a mo na mo ye original mo san koye bio me I don't want to touch it say me jai say ade na ensel kwade me I don't believe in that aban eyen toato so NDC for aba me to aso no mo nye nti me say mo san koye bio omo de ba ye endu $15 million dollars and I can say
tina
question internet otibo kaso ntse otibo say values omo kanyina esisi wo pepepe but enam say new government to the fair Price Waterhouse no na me can say mo amonye omo kan say omo ye new bibia on record the me kanyina is on record mako parliament mako CHM visa
but you continuously heard political party representatives especially the NDC lamenting and accusing that one kasa okotam will be crafted a cheaper price than okotam will be and you never came out to respond to some of these things.
Chief me say nyame say Tambia Ghana they shouldn't buy into this politicization of issues. So they make actually makaka mako parliament mako chirichiri say omansa koye no the same you accounting.
This is Komenda sugar factory common you. Maybe I'll kasa about
international one now once me church the mupa and I'm say okay someone am koye mo san koye mo buy on the figure no buy and I'm say I dey say almost 60 million we so akoye ono we ni am say before adwuma koye no we say 50 million no sukura wontua wono 50 million kura we say anukura no we say anukura on fama say or see or time government or no this 50 million na yes one from on target or no the best start adwuma na che say ade na na museum ti wo me ba happen na me ka say there be and I'm requesting for a forensic audit so esa no inconsistencies
you know about problem be the authentic people no be adwuma
and e ka say omon fanko omon forensic audit but me wa no and I'm ka say medical cabinet say ade yenhwe ne ye if you say this is the controversy meanwhile so no media me believe we say the people of Komenda no we will shortchange them if we don't continue and it's idea once this controversy is being resolved no yensa enhwe se yebetimi anya
Tofobia.
Fedi obeto. Konya sa de nurse ade na eka room sa. Enti medical cabinet no ma prove yes eh. Yensan try say benya investors omo bedi e. Nya the same price water also nya open. Omo buy. Opianu a offer more than even 15 16. One company on the offer and no cry $21 million. Or no first one your coffee say you buy no was you na member 21 million factory where now say into me car says idea in the next one nobody was prepared to pay even $50 million for sa idea. Wow. And I'm who so Sadia ane baby idea not just say NDC cannot account for the difference between value what most of makoji low
1535
no makoji low na face idea kwaba tisa ka nyame anim ni baby anka we ka say na wukra wo ha ho ayi manim siwo no ma antwetwere omobo
ba won e ball so ball pa
na obo me subo sentina I say na me ka say
if you care to know e ball so ball pa
there's a lot of sounds me cheche mu chiro just as propaganda omo ye ina na makọ parliament akochirim enam say sembi nkofo wo negative mentality niti on say ka de me kan na ye correct no me na ma ye papa no on say obi omo ye police no be akochirim no me kan say but this is exactly what it be send the core cabinet is ya send the idea ba obi say value of the there's no way be able to get 35 billion for it. 12, 15, 16. And Sadia was Adiano a war forensic auditor. Yam Pesa Adiano so best any day. And ye Yam Pe Obi under contract just to bring the factory back into operation. Now government now so started na o start so produce sugar na ani ebedu baby no ani obi kura ba na say ani ebeka say aban you cut your losses na mo say ade na ankasa no yi bi ba mu diversion bi ba mu inti sa ade a ani once ade no be adwuma de na nke enkoso nye na eno ana cabinet approve say sa ade a yempe obi a ono no ebetimi a bringing to the stage or me.
Okay, Chief Member, so for at least you've gotten it right. Yes, one person that would do maybe an inclusive chapter on this one. Okay. Our former rep to India, His Excellency Sampi Ali, was in all the interactions to be our friends, at least homogeneous input because he was key in ensuring such a facility. So next time maybe our conversation. But the reason for being here, very important, and on our friend here, the great transformational plan. Mamenka, if you've just joined, I have Sempa 94.7 EKOSIISEN and Yeni Chief Alan movement presidential candidate he's given us two assurances. Bibia or Bontize or Bokwa to Amobi or Prapraquem and all those things. Say media men I mean Quasia in a Miami in Libya and only a Chiwadiana. And if you argue him, I was there or no a king maker or near king maker or no your king or no king maker. If you argue him, well, now all this total now all misrepresented. The great transformational plan, stability, growth, resilience, prosperity, a new policy blueprint for Ghana's transformation. And I'm privileged to have one, Ira Alan, or the compliments, Agum Kama, Ediamami, where I have interest, maybe in areas, bear me as I say.
No problem, no sound of you.
Because this is
the key to Ghana's. Oh, I'm telling you, this is the key to Ghana's.
One of the areas that me interest, but also one attention. Page 40.
Page 40.
211 and 212. Maybe we all just briefly now if you call other sectors.
Okay.
What key? Because I might be about on the back of fighting corruption.
Yes.
And I'm seeing that the governance cluster on corruption.
Yes.
This is what you have here. Demonstrate a leadership of personal integrity and political will to fight corruption and take decisive action against politically exposed persons involved in corruption-related activities. Isolate all corruption-related provisions in existing legislation and consolidate them in one enabling legislation with a clear definition of corruption, including severe sanctions to serve as a deterrent against corruption. Amend the Constitution to establish and appoint an anti-corruption czar with independent prosecutorial authority, separate from that of the Attorney General. The anti-corruption czar will replace the special prosecutor. Review the Procurement Act to improve inclusive and transparent access to public economic and commercial opportunity whilst reducing collusion. Introduce an anti-corruption citizens charter requiring every person, as provided under Article 41F of the Constitution, to protect and preserve public property and expose and combat misuse and waste of public funds and prosperity. Establish an anti-corruption award scheme to reward and incentivize key public sector officials and appointees for demonstrating zero tolerance for corruption in the course of their duties. Amend existing asset declaration rules to strengthen disclosure and introduce new forms of asset tracking and recovery, including but not limited to instruments such as lifestyles audit for tracking unexplained wealth and recovery of proceeds of corruption. Empower civil society anti-corruption organizations and strengthen partnerships between civil society and related public agencies by providing direct and indirect support, including but not limited to access to public funds. This is key.
Absolutely.
Very
good. I'm happy. If you say when you say assembly and in church, brofunu de ede na kase be church na ankrakra bi ates. Na em say we kind one by one. First one, demonstrate a leadership of personal integrity. You say nam pra efreti. The number one policy say making sure say you bet me ediaba to corruption and say the person at the top no must be able to demonstrate his own commitment to zero tolerance for corruption. As a leader, and say, I have never been corrupt. I am not corrupt now, and I will never be corrupt. The past, the present, and the future. How many politicians in the if you say, oh, that's the starting point. So I say, now me say even say thinking about it, say if you tie na nipa de omu re no to me show sir. Now we use that to empower yourself. It's disgraceful. Oh, now I say there's no difference between poverty and financial insecurity. So because you're poor, if you are necessary, you need to cry. But people are obi. But and now so financing a lifestyle, any greed into, still he can be engaged in corruption. Still financial insecurity. And and it's not just the president. And I say just the man at the top. I say, people around you, you must have the political will to ensure, say, you will not tolerate any corruption or corruption-related activities by anybody in political office. And then number one. Number two, I would say, Ufa Emrana. Yoko, yes, corruption, special prosecutor, also, yes, corruption
and corruption related.
Shiraj, yes, corruption, police for CID or mere corruption word. And Tina quite is the laws now way now. So all these institutions will be also dealing with corruption. No? Everybody ends up not being responsible for it. And number 2, policy, no? And it's a affair there. Young share all these corruption related laws. No? Now, young consolidating, young finding into one law so that there's no confusion. Once I say confusion be by do a BSO with a special prosecutor. Or say we say an incident. Why? If you say Omunina were different interpretations under their law of what constitutes corruption, and to me say there should be one law and one institution dealing with corruption. Now, na a bear point the head of that honor your friend anti-corruption zone. Now, we share the best practice around the world. So where you have anti-corruption zone, not just a special prosecutor. Prosecutor, you're only prosecuting. So
you cancel that the special prosecutor space?
Yes, because we can
replace it with
the anti-corruption zone. Now, it's not just a replacement. The law, no, and I make us say, you can corruption-related laws under that law, no, we would have one omnibus authority dealing with corruption.
Is it just the name now?
The view say name no. So on the make us say once you consolidate with all the corruption related laws into one. Now we're appointing one person who basically the buck stops with that person. Now Sani Pano. The difference between the making any special prosecutor, special prosecutor derives his authority from the Attorney General, because under the Constitution,
or limitation,
yes, under the Constitution, the Attorney General is the one who is vested with the authority to prosecute all matters. And the special prosecutor, under the law establishing the office of a delegated authority from the Attorney General. And then there's no independence. There's no independence. And this one, we are completely independent of the Attorney General. And so, you say we have to amend the Constitution, the provision that grants full responsibility to the Attorney General to prosecute all matters. Corruption-related cases, is the anti-corruption exam and other prosecution cases goes to the
You've been in government before. It's an easy road.
A very easy road. But in fact, we have no choice. We have no choice. We have no choice. President, I want to have a zero tolerance for corruption policy.
Absolutely.
And I'm focus say zero tolerance. And your friend is zero tolerance. It means that we want to make us being corrupt, but you will not tolerate it. And the regime now will be to me set it up to deal with corruption. It's very important. So, who as an individual say the can say you will ensure say we are not corrupt. People around you and you're corrupt. It doesn't mean that Obi will not attempt. Say on with them, but you must have the laws and the regulations to deal with that. And no any the na make say no. Obia ukoyokwa yebi ukobia obia so yebi. Number 3 so unze makambi bi say review the Procurement Act.
Yeah.
To include and improve inclusiveness.
If you want to change the status quo, baby, you have a problem in your government. Because you are bringing all manner of people. Baby, you didn't know. And one person cut free. Are you ready for that fight?
Yeah, Bekati. Now then, who me ma corporate power no. Who be use public procurement. Ana who dia ye. Say you are asking me to, help you to be corrupt. I'm not going to do that. And I also may say, one of the recommendations say we will abolish sole sourcing. I don't think I make us.
But that's also unfair.
I don't think I am unfair.
An urgent situation demands urgent approach. But how come na say urgency be ba obi aso say man bayin aka ho emra na kota na chi o ndi see e be dey any na go through tender na open up na process need delay. We are certain, you know, generally that there are certain situations that you cannot do without it.
Okay. Sir,
maybe the abuse of it is better than abolishment.
No,
if you abuse it, different from someone abolishing.
Yeah, MPP. Time I'm MPP no. See about power 2017. We had the same. The fact that you per se will be dealing with it. You know, see council sourcing was. You buy one instances of sourcing. And I MPP NDC time. Both NDC 1, NDC 2, MPP 1, MPP is the same thing. Ghana for no, you have more chance. If you give them the chance, you be room. The on the major. Now, me there, me fa NCU and son of Macasa Betua Bama Bama, me one who say, so sourcing, said America, for it ain't gonna happen. If it's a whole, Anna, you do room, you have one chance to pay. Room, not room. Sa eti ye to me NC ade na no
to so no ma bia e de katashe pre any fi be ba ho so
eno na encourage ade o man say obi a onimi no eni say matters related to corruption there the last thing obet me the government.
You've been in government for almost 60 years.
No,
but that's what I'm saying. Nobody comes close when it comes to issues about corruption. But okofa konya kese netina so you have been there before.
So you see
you have been in the system before.
Eti me pese me catch say me trying ma and ma quite tempted be the imrano ba to prevent and handcuff me and not make it possible. Say o man hini afia me beto na so awie no na me no tie nti na fe wo pe contractor me pese o compete nti ko so ni enfama ni entwa ntuma. It's not going to happen. Okay, so and I face the other one so or say
the reward scheme for them.
Reward schemes is all say no. So what was say? Na say corruption ko say nyasam ko voni mu. Anya so be a paper no. Obi aye. Now the type of Ghana funds are there. So who say president say he will not tolerate corruption. Wasade mra ahihye ama say no. We tia kasa na it will be difficult so be brem. And was I say, even in spite of that, so be kuremu now who and now say nipa na year papers you now who evidence say who be at me akonya opportunity to remua now who report to the incidents of corruption and only citizens award no and order of the voter crime a very 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 important. The way you lose government revenue through corruption, you have no idea.
Uber superintendent, a country, if Nyamewa we are seriously corrupt.
Something making
more than corrupt. We are seriously corrupt. Bibia JJ Muama, in fact, ya so mana be the order of the day. In Tieneno, Ubikura Nyakukudru, and the dictator, program come without it a year. It once all the old person.
Yes, and I make couple simple say. Media and one of which I mean, say me back, there's zero tolerance. Say officer nunti ana alan obey obehaya hey we did now me to me na miss free Ghana ono woman I do to me mama. It's my responsibility to secure and protect their interests. I'm not there to empower myself. I'm there to make sure say I empower the people. Now wonkwa ubejedi Uni a public servant, a civil servant, a minister, a mobile Namu say $10 million. Now uni papa I didn't give to me a dear boy over 10,000 people. This is what is going to happen. Say no only now officer who be a corrupt there.
Okay, so Chief,
and the last one
empower civil society.
Amend existing asset declaration rules. Just say you call into policy my appointment. Anna Wamusukra enquiry, they say, introduce new forms of asset tracking and recovery. Amahe, Meshawa, any acquire, we see a display lavishly near Dena. So it cannot be. So it is not associated with corruption.
Okay, so what special prosecutor know our responsibilities and do what criminal sa office be just should do your best idea. And
I no plan no be deep no more. We said make us new mechanisms for asset tracking.
Obatata nipa.
Now then na want that I better what deal with corruption no. Ghana odiba na corruption. Na mo say mo pay a way to deal with corruption. It must be total. It must be total. Ghana for no one you
so we check it no. We check it
top middle to near say me man Ghana for what I say media, that's the position that I have now is the position I'll have when I become president.
Okay, Chief Alan and Alan KWADWO KYEREMATEN and I was still the movement presidential candidate. And but I mean walk up I viewers listen through quickly now for another area. Also public sector reforms and reducing government size. Or say reduce the size of government, including appointing not more than 40. What feel 15, 16, only about 40. Really? 40 ministers composed of the following: Attorney General, statutory requirement, finance, economy, trade and industry, Minister of State for Trade and
Industry.
That's
one. Minister
of Trade for Trade and Industry, Minister of State for Finance and Economy. What we all know. Food, Agriculture and Fisheries.
1.
Foreign Affairs and Regional Cooperation.
1.
Defense.
1. Education.
And then under education, we have Minister of State for Basic and Secondary Education. And then we have Health. Minister of State for Traditional Medicine. And you are giving priority to that.
Medicine may establish traditional and herbal medicine authority, just like a health service.
Oh wow!
Now 70% of Ghana for the almost access to medication. May see the access to medication and now
yeah.
70% of Ghanaians
traditional. But emunya crowd.
Oh, but you been see ye me plan formula now because some movement for change.
Are you sure? Because hire a very serious and also another attacks member.
No attack na ba. Me pese Ghana.
Because how did you pray paper?
Debut by one say to make say I didn't think it is as say the pray the pan. 70% of the population umpe.
It is
my brother or your PhD in herbal medicine in herbal medical science. And the idea me remupa or no na ya or ye no ne or kind of sample the project or ye no na how to improve till medication I say abrofo medication. Who say you say herbal and plant medicine. Say 80% of medication plant based. They can chemicals, but papa women are plant based medicine. Even in matured economies, no crime. This now made them make us say once a majority of the population, no, when we have no. It means that they will be licensed,
and regulated. Because it's a very sensitive area.
But when we say, one more again to herbal, so one who say a buying
any brabem, no man at the day,
a pijanwa.
We have a trustee,
and don't do it properly because a horn face can be them.
But to call it the hopper.
Oh, but you see, no. Now, so I'm losing our film Beneska because when you tell me, see, you did your move. And how to some bear prescription, any producing one more medication in
okay, so we have the Interior Ministry of infrastructure. And under infrastructure, no, Minister of State for Transport, Infrastructure, that's roads, highways, railways, aviation, public transit systems, and ports and harbors. Only one. Minister of State for Communications and Digitalization.
Yes.
You believe in digitalization?
Oh, I didn't.
Minister of State for Public Housing, Water Systems. Hey, we were all shifted to a different level, because they were here, Chief. Minister of State for Public Housing. Public housing,
oh, public housing.
Low cost.
Low cost, you know.
Before they just estate low cost,
low cost housing there. So that is the key. So we open say, majority
of the materials been because the materials at the stands now. It will be difficult to. Because the way back in Kofodia low cost house now me papa to me talk. Obi ati working to buy some. No, I'm surprised. This government is putting up a facility.
Yeah.
And the claim is that for a certain class of people, but if you look at the price range and your low cost,
me say me formula see a dime
and the borrow from
a bama ubia ordinary
reasonable average Ghanaian bit at all.
Say I quite say we need the right ideas, need technology, need innovation, and is a
wow.
Now, the idea also makanya bonu say.
So under infrastructure, that's one ministry.
That's one ministry.
We have three ministers.
Yes, you have three sub. Until there's one minister and then three fancy deputies.
So the deputies, one in charge of State for Public Housing, water systems, sanitation, waste management.
It goes together.
Yes, it goes together.
And transport infrastructure.
Yeah, so it goes together.
It goes together.
Okay, so 10, energy and natural resources. Wow.
Under that, you know.
Minister of State for Lands and Mineral Resources.
Yes.
That's another tough area.
Yes.
But on permanent is too, because a very tough area.
But the main minister no, responsible for
lands,
energy,
water bodies, mining, oil and gas, renewable energy. And deputy number 5. Yes.
The main minister no, on portfolio will cover the energy part. Now the deputy no. Until my own say way main friend deputy ministers, so my own ministers of state.
Okay.
Into more higher than deputies.
Okay. But so we have the youth and sports, local government and decentralization, environment, science and technology and innovation, tourism and culture, chieftaincy, religious, creative arts.
Once say no, you were called a minister for religion, minister for religion, religion and
tourism and culture. Okay. Women, children, social welfare, PWDs, aged and vulnerable, Omeji and consulate. Okay, so that's it.
14.
So,
and I want him the only constitutional mandated minister and attorney general, and no penny the work constitution. We are there. The constitution requires you to have that. There can you have the flexibility to decide what type of minister.
Am I seeing right?
You want.
Abolish the Council of State.
Now, I'm saying, one say, one come
abolish the Council of State.
A big change, yes. If you say, you see, currently, no, the Council of State, you know, is an advisory body. Our advisory president. Now, so which functions are your demand? May the MN say, so which penny-for people with experience and integrity and the constitution does not give them the kind of responsibility a bit more use in a way be a decisive. You know, advisory. That all the meeting. Now say in place of the Council of State, you know, Anna, we will establish a second chamber. Yes. Second chamber.
The second chamber will be vested with powers of oversight
over executive actions.
Really?
Yes.
Powers.
Because
are you comfortable giving them those powers?
Our constitution.
Oh, you're comfortable.
Me very comfortable. I don't make proposal. Our constitution puts too much power in the hands of the executive.
Chief, are you comfortable?
Now, me say me na me cooperate and me answer me introduce the provisions are a very strict me action, because that's the only way we can have checks and balances. And the second chamber is what's the composition of second chamber?
So powers. The second chamber will be vested with powers of oversight over executive actions.
Yes.
Participate in the approval process of appointments to independent constitutional bodies and review budgets.
Now, presented by the Ansanako budget approval and the main parliament. But the composition of the second chamber.
Okay, so the Chamber of Parliament is represented from key stakeholder groups, including faith-based organizations, traditional authorities, professional bodies, artisanal associations, gender-based organizations, the private sector, labor unions, academia, the diaspora.
Yes.
And persons with disabilities.
Yes. It is wrong. I quite to say. It is to say the second chamber no. A one Ghana said you everybody who matters make in different areas ubi will representation and for hobby Muslims and Christian more representatives or labor union hobby.
You cannot just do anything there.
You cannot just do anything there.
Is there going to be a criteria to get to that chamber?
Yes, sir. And the various associations, or process be nominate. But I don't say we are president. Now I also say who appoint a electoral commissioner, and now I appoint Obi for let's say Shraj, and now I appoint Obi as who bet my control now. And yes, I will now because say my appointee way and I'm a nominated way Council of State. Do you agree or not disagree? Most times they cannot disagree.
Chief.
But in this case, the revolution, you have no idea.
You are coming to superintend a country where we are highly polarized about among yourself. And you think that it's easy for you to say
the key, when you say, Ubisam said, Jane, a Magana for a message in a Thomason, they say a government of national unity. This is the most inclusive government structure. A government of national unity and Kaboma buying. So I will say, first now, a champion time or car union government. Then I say people are antennas you. Name the Pakra no de banner and an uncle for an engine. But how can you even work against a union, a government of national unity? If you are buyer and Kabuma buyer will be a womubi. Political parties won't be. Different bodies in you can never go wrong. And after so we are president, you cannot take actions arbitrarily because when him say, one also say executive authority, no, but somebody has to have oversight. Said also any checks and balances, no, ubia oversight over one or the other. Say Parliament, if they make laws that go contrary to the constitution, the judiciary has oversight over that one. So they are aware.
Me aware.
And who is policing the executive?
Who
is policing the we are president? No, and
that's the status quo. That's
no, but it's not sustainable. Now me say me president. Me are prepared to submit myself, because when I hear kono. Me asma me de ko no. So me feel say ababu mine I should convince all the people who are gathered there. Now when they wait makotobi because I want NDC for home, NPP home.
Otoento.
That's why I want to make a composition.
Otoento.
Who got to say? Obia womubi. The issue is government of national unity. For me, this is the most important difference that I'm bringing. Now say two political parties. NDC and PP. Oma divided chrono. Say bibi ana yen toka. Everything.
Adwane ekodi ocho background no.
Everything yen toka. NDC and PP. Do you want to continue that? For how long? For how long is the country going to survive under?
Okay, Chief. I'm just reading, but maybe by more interest be what.
Okay, no problem.
It's key for us. The behavioral and mindset change cluster.
Okay.
I just love it. But you put out these constitutional reforms. I'm sure the legal minds will take you up and scrutinize this very much. Now, if you're much said you can achievable.
But I make one quick point on constitution because it's a new.
I'm seeing constitutional reforms. Abolish Article 71, entrenched provision, which identifies specific public sector officials in separate categories for purpose of determining emoluments. You are going to do that?
We abolish it. Article 71. Okay, you Ghana for. Ubia Weduma Oye. Argentina, yet me have a certain category of ministers. MPs say
by virtue of a Jumoye.
By
virtue of the sacrifice they make for the country. The sacrifice they make for the country.
And the other people know the idea.
They are contributing to their sacrifice.
Oh,
and such all of us cannot be same.
You say for purposes of compensation. Yes, there are other ways of rewarding Nipano. But for purposes of compensation and emolument, now I want to say my cost form. And I bet it's Article 71. I bet I'll catch
you. It's a Mrakun Abo Mobile. And Timrakun also was such a mono. Only say a bomb or Mojume.
Oh, if I abolish it.
But abolish what are some of the incentives in the public office? What are some of the incentives?
I can't say no. Into public service, not to serve, but because of emolument.
No, me ko jama bushia ho, eja me ma ho, eja madaje ho, abesum me man. Na me man dey no me mam in return.
And you man ko business.
Oh, mam ko.
And you ko. If you come
Chief Alan, what by you are coming to say abasobode ye odin. Say me di kakra no, because me jama bushia.
Me ma on di sir. Say me say o pese o sum or minor in public service. Nyako ena odi uyefunu eko amaya kwese ago baby biade. And it FM public service no. Say what you baby obi anu ni asem. Kwa your business. Na say wo say o pese obesum o man either in your position as parliament or minister any there. Ane emra wo hono no.
Okay, so our legal minds should listen. I'm sure you subject it to a better scrutiny at the appropriate time, and the time is now. It was the Empower Fair Wages and Salaries Commission to determine the salaries of public service officials previously categorized under Article 71.
Yes.
Amend Article 1901 to empower Fair Wages and Salaries Commission to determine salaries of all public service officers defined under the said article. Yes. Amend Article 78, entrenched provision, to enable the president appoint ministers without limitation from any source.
So
what do you mean by this?
Okay, say
Parliament be free. Now a limited president, you know. Say we have a this percent free parliament.
Yes.
Now who they are?
I know for so say.
Yeah, because say
constitution they say for X number of ministers
percent
parliament.
Or parliament because of minister. Now by power. They are considered.
You will change.
What so BM now be
but my German. I didn't say parliament here and say no.
Because when you go parliament, the chance of you becoming a minister is so low.
Say yeah. Well, but my German here before. What ubet so we end this year also MPP new. Say onya man no mo the ubet my anti sa provision na you see 50% free parliament. It doesn't help with our governance architecture.
Okay, so amend articles 190, 195, 202, 207. Pamchomo fan chairman, Muamoka can go through the constitution what those articles are saying. You know, I'm sure Chief Besaba, we have our constitution, the Boba Kone Akwesa feasible and that. But I'm just drawing your attention to the fact that the great transformational plan, stability, growth, resilience, and air prosperity in 70 bia. And so when you should do huni biomo, everything what you want to make in country, we'll go deeper at another time. Amend articles 190, 195, 202, 207, 212, and 232, 2 non-entrenched relating to the appointment and the tenure of specified heads of independent constitutional bodies to conform to the provisions in the legislation establishing the second chamber of parliament, and then amend Article 2576 to establish traditional authorities as co-trustees with the president in respect of all mineral.
What kind Article 2576? Yes, the right the rights to all.
No, I'm saying that you can't be a president of the land, and I hold you by this.
I don't tell me. This is the God's media
because I'm going to be painting a boss also in for a good reason.
Yes.
Almost everybody came to sit here with promises. When you ask them back these questions that they give to us as social contract, it becomes a problem for them. That means it's an make on them in the situation.
Tell me different. Also, media very specific things, and yet general talk. And when the party manifestos, once I see the difference between my plan and the party manifesto, and is that the details are here. The details are here, and then I make a very because all mineral rights are vested in the president. So me tell me on him. Na say as I say, edaho. Na yehu mineral rights say gold so they may was I have no right under the constitution to make any determination about it. It's vested in the president on behalf of the people. And I'm saying they are there representing the interests of the communities. As I said, mineral rights are vested first in the president and also at the same time in the because this idea, president, you have vested the power and right over minerals in him. Administratively, no, also the power number minerals commission. No, bit the minerals commission. Now you're him. On say who gold was what. Now minerals commission officer na be determine say yemfa concession ma assume and now printing.
Okay, so I'm sure I entreat Munya the Great Transformational Plan, page 46, and a legal issues. We can look through these legal issues. Almost all the political parties, ADC, and especially the NDC talks about this Article 71, entrenched, or media. It is important. Finally, on that legal page, legislate the establishment of the office of an anti-corruption czar as an independent constitutional body to be responsible for the investigation, initiation, and prosecution of all corruption and corruption-related offences. Okay, so that one will not stress much.
Yes.
But Yamra, page 74, I'm just happy because I am thinking, say, this is our biggest challenge as a country, or amongst the major challenges we have as a country. And then he says that, and here you talk about the behavioral and mindset change cluster. That's what you talk about.
Yes.
And you have respect for law and order. It's a country where our levels of indiscipline and a lack of respect for the law. Chief, do you know what baby or person do run?
Oh. Now, the point is that I am in the say, Metmenya Kukudro, say, media, this is the Medibaye, your family say, and it's take it or leave it, and no, and a match. You
are not going to do that kind of government where the law is respected of communal safety.
No, send details,
But have you checked the environment? Can you for chief? Me na me interview hayo. It is now
I say wouldn't me say, said but not when you offend the law.
If you mean, we have a Grantois system. You know from my view. Chief. And all the real world who sent this you. You are from my view. Sit don't transfer and yet easy sao. I always say more multi even at your ministry.
Yeah.
You have fun easy, sir.
Yeah.
The attitude of the Ghana. So I'm happy that we are going to spend more time on this attitudinal change and mindset. Behavioral.
It is the key. normal market cluster be important.
We have patriotism. We have enforcement of discipline.
Yes.
Attitude to work. Because when we call Juma 10, no, I found a bag 1. No, complaints times are tough as a public or civil service. Why are you going to find that?
Should we encourage this? It's not going to happen. Omahi, I was saying, Antina, na Obia unim midiano. Omahi, Mena, I'm saying Ghana for you, no prophet is acceptable. Me catch us say, Macassa Semia, na I'm saying Tokana for some. Me say, Obia, person obey president. Yanko, Naya, Yanshe, na problem. Ejuma Bain, na Wayada. El Kodro him, and son over politician. Se politics na ye be me hu ana sabi benya so na me nka se unyobia
because politics dey be hu na yan go hwem the opposite say you should get the clarity
you should get the clarity na the enti make we say me ka jo say Alan and me tisum pie so am ka jo say me this is the me a year me dey say be president dem dey be here they should believe me if he say 1994 till 1994. So the only Time magazine, Time International. See, let me tell you, this is 1994. They were selecting the top 100 people in the world.
Not in Africa.
In the world that you share, on the control we are seeing this 1994. 100 top people that you share on control of the world. On board, Edin Bakon, Bill Gates. This is 1994. Bill Gates, Condoleezza Rice. Obeye, Foreign Minister, Secretary of State, for America. John F. Kennedy Jr. Only Papa, the president, no, behind me say, only the next president. Jeffrey Sachs, say only the world's leading authority on development economics. Jeffrey Sachs. Yakubo Dimba Akusukawa, Alan Chematin of Ghana. 1994. People 100 people who are going to control the world. Now, say 1994, now the world was recognizing me as one of the 100 top people in the world, with people like Bill Gates. At that time, any Condoleezza Rice, 94, not politics, not 92, almost 30. Yes, I call back to that. Now 94, now you place me in one of the top 100 people in the world. Now, and Alan Chamatin, Miss Lagana for say, Mumma chance, na me be president. Na me Bible na ba. Macham de me be you should believe in me. Say I didn't meet me here.
Okay, so Alan Chamatin, if you've just joined, movement for change, not just a change.
Transformational change.
Movement for transformation.
No. Be president. I was over fast.
Alan Chamatin, in fact, so a friend was joined. I may say a lot, but the good thing is that we are able to the great transformational plan. If I may be na a lot of text messages about making back to a year in Komenda. We wrap up a lot, but with your move on, I'll get to social media as well. Yes, now come Bebusa into Udia Badia, Chief Alan Pachoti. People want to know what you have for the youth, but we do specific about sports. Because maybe I'm not better my because will say that we didn't talk about them. So I've seen great works with your creative arts tourism sector. I've seen great work, but I ain't even calling about the youth there. So many of the sports issue by and patrol. And common. And then this one says that, are you ready to work with Mr. Alan to win anybody who will make Ghana a better place? The Ghana I look for. And Ghana needs a ministry of discipline and order, I swear. We are paying moving in the Abaro. Paying power, crony moor, or the Abano. The chief Ghana needs a ministry of discipline and order. It means that it's a conquer. Chief, it won't challenge Abe Fisi.
Also, nobody was saying, make fun come ministers.
Okay, so the same thing. People want to know about Ghana sports. Oman, please ask Alan about his plans for Ghana sports and how he sees the current state of sports in the country. Can he take us to another level? People are interested. That's the youth. And I'm going to know. I have a question for. Does he have regret staying with the MPP till losing the primaries? With hindsight, would he have resigned earlier? These political questions are my reason because for another time, we really wanted to tackle because you're better with we say now now so now there be again I'll be baba ya mind so say bad then I'll be ya mind so we can know the realities on the ground. Those political well, you cannot do without your missus, your back, your pillar, and also the but he means every word that he's saying. Mrs. Alan Kyerematen, my very good friend. Emma, good afternoon. And thank you for your prayers. And Master Planner says, Chief has said a lot. Ghanaians know that President Akufo-Addo Dr. have done. It is possible with DMD, Master Planner, and also the Abano. And this one also here, I say, Kumasi Industrial City Project. Hey, okay, BBC.
It is the biggest. It's going to be the biggest in Africa.
A friend,
Greater Kumasi Industrial City.
Greater Kumasi.
It's going to be the new sensation in Africa.
Wow.
It's about the manufacturing hub in Africa.
Really?
So me put them say we are up here. Some crowd be shall say answer na me free abem.
Okay, so most of your questions in Pamcho, I exercise that right. I really wouldn't go about this. I really want to get to know much about this. Yeah, winning here. Chief, you see who practical and is that's why many are subject to the behavioral and mindset change in that batch to what I'm saying. Yes. You know what you're about because we need this transformation. Yeah, the transformation it will be difficult for us because yes, obviously me ration patch of a because a brain also demand for what Daroma in fact from mobile. Yes, I love to end the 6:30 with him, but also your other programs. So to me, rational, allow him to flow. Is it the chief? What me moment here, next time, then the chief in Nadia coming over because me no so okay. This person who the woman the chief was who the woman. Okay, yes, me rational do. I accept. Pacho and Timmy Mr. K. Can I ask? Okay, for how long has he known Nanado? Okay, so that one may be a normal question. To me, if he so wish. Okay, so that's just about it. My social media. Now quickly, remember back now. There are interesting questions and areas, and me who didn't hear. Kindly ask him why he's always accusing NDC MPP. So in case he wins, where is he going to? I said, MPP NDC now about much is achieved. See, the women are one for no number. Son of the Panibusa.
We know we have a
Okay, number. Okay. Until you want he should go and solve 170 questions. He said for late. Okay, no, now come on. Alan, it's better for you to join. It's better for you to join Joma. One say at the name they say 2D can free or say people think say boss Sebiato. Am I one of these two
parties?
I mean that's why my mom from Major Lanka because I know it was a major force. Okay, so are there no other Ghanaians living in Ghana who are competent to be ministers? So they have to be MPP or NDC. No. Lot of the international trade consultant. Hey, they all one man so. Hey, and one will should be a good. Okay, so about NDC MPP in Pamcho, somebody sees you as an enemy of progress.
Hey.
Somebody sees you as an enemy of progress. Pamcho so because our children you mama so ko attack na then somebody sees you as very knowledgeable, and that's Lord Silence, and then a lot. Okay, so Jude, yeah, men call social media no, because Breno, Chief. I would love us to go through a lot, but digital mainstreaming. But the emphasis here for education, quite say, intimacy in your, you know, Okobi Asabra, intimacy.
Oh, sir. And I'm happy to say
my Russia, my mouth was my Russian. I wanted to get a lot of
what
the book entails. I appreciate what you have. We are going to scrutinize it on taxes.
Yes, on
taxes, lower taxes and duties.
Yes. Okay, no, I don't think I said COVID levy tax.
And that's all.
Disinfection levy.
Eliminate the existing compounded calculation of VAT by consolidating the NHIA and get fund levies with the VAT rate.
Sure. Say who be business sir. I did back how money say Ministry of Finance at the calculation of VAT by Fufubi buyer. Say we say yes VAT and yes 17.5 say 12.5 and CFA NHIA levy now you charge say 2.5%. You are near calculative VAT on that. You are near Sanfa get fund 2.5 near calculative VAT on that. And today is a compounded calculation of VAT. And to be in nature say, acquired to say, I charge you VAT 2-3 times. The better normal boy and coso. And no any calculation.
Okay, Chief, you ever said about a year Guy G, our US of A, but it's your Ghana. Guy G, I'm sure you know Guy G. So you're a fantastic guy.
That's it.
Such messages, Nana. And best mechanics and I'm out.
Oh, my small amenities. We president can why is it?
George Ni
corruption obviously.
George Ni or Kaite say, kindly tell him that I want to be the minister in charge of law and order. The way I will scrutinize people. I think that office.
Popular.
Okay, so please ask. This is Nana Mponsa-Bediako. Please ask Honorable Alan, would he have spoken like this if he had won the MPP primaries? And then the Makacho is responding to any political question there. Or if the great transformational planner. That's one of the things. So Aston PDA. Ubi the Niswadi Hunuba, Inti and Niswadi, then and Yoma Emma Ghana and Timin Tumpono. And that's where our interest is. It's so unfortunate. You know, very unfortunate. Then as I'm watching Bejina, as if Musa Argentina penalty no Bolusu. Or say, oh, Manchester, then we have the penalty is called. And that's it. You know, sometimes more fun. Those are just. We are grateful. We are grateful. Short notice, but very grateful. I always remember you for. You've not changed.
Yes, I was patriotism. Oh, patriotism. Me na kamo. She say for time. Me tna say me hwe na me first. Me suit to chair obia. If say me we school. First aduma me yan na me manager. Wo UAC.
Okay.
So the UAC. UAC. Say no any Unilever. She said at the age of 22.
UAC.
At the age of 22, now me a manager. Wo UAC. Once the first UAC, won't the best 60, I won't win the manager. Top at the age of 22, now you're minister. And shoot to the
UAC, GNTC, Ghana Food Distribution, those.
But UAC, so it was the biggest company, and still, I'm sure it's the biggest company in a. And one you later, you can't shoot to the now. Once I'm a bad man, I said, Eddie, let us be proud of what we produce in Ghana. And Tibet say, the entire day, and tomorrow, I could more textile GTP.
Yeah.
Yes,
interest in the power.
Friday when you said now up to now, it's
the Friday where most of them they remember. Stephen Tufosi only the final decider for 2024. You merge MPP and DC. Ever possible?
What's the matter?
When I final a year decider, you see the final decider for Alan Cash is going to be the final decider for 2024 general election. Either he will merge to MPP or NDC.
Me ka ashe nyame nunyam say once you say that his glory may be manifested also nyame bibi obebia no wo ye bibi soronko said ye benya ye be hunu tumi NDC coming to power or MPP coming to power no there is nothing spiritual about that then me just say is that na say Alan be president anankofo be hu onyame tumi. And it is going to happen. Maybe I can't say, who's starting here? Didn't come on. I will be so. NPP of 4 million, NDC of 4 million. Sir, you're trying.
Chivala Medasipi.
Good.